Chaos in Carterton was written and performed by the Lights Up Memory Club Carterton as part of a Sharon Woodward Community Arts Workshop. Music by AKM Music. I remembered my time as a trainee reporter very well. The year was 1971. Decimalization had been introduced. Middle of the road was in the charts with Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep. And my boss gave me my first proper assignment.
We sell all different sorts of cheeses, and I'm really struggling with the decimalisation because I've just started this Saturday job and I've just got my head around 12, shillings and pence, and now I've got to think about decimalisation and I cannot do it.
All kinds of things, hardware, nails, pots, pans, everything you can think of.
Well, I'll probably get a loaf of bread.
50 children I want to buy small Easter eggs for each one.
Easter eggs? And those Easter eggs last year, I swear, were 2 and 6. Now, if I've got this right, 2 and 6 is 12.5p. But they're 16 pence this year. That's not right.
I can't get used to it. I keep reverting back to a shilling and 5 pence and 10 pence. And it's a lot of money, isn't it, when you pay out?
They were rounding everything up to the pound.
I need to go to the market, but I can't figure out the money, so I'm not spending a penny.
Change over from the pounds and pence tills was awkward, like sort of thing, to do it for pounds and pence.
Selling cardigans and jumpers. People are having trouble with pounds, shillings and pence into decimalisation. But if they've got the money in their hand, we can work it out together.
I can't believe this woman. She was arguing over 4.5p and 9 pence and she wouldn't give in. She really drove me mad.
Hello, Joe Whitbourne from the Carterton Gazette. You what? Are you having a laugh? Well, we haven't got a proper reporter, only Polly. I'll send her down after she's made me a cup of tea. Polly?
Yes, Mr. Winterbourne.
Get down to the market. There's a bull loose, apparently. Story's not so important, so I'll send you. Now get my cup of tea and get off. There's a good girl.
Have you heard about the bull that's escaped from the Avatar?
Yeah.
Oh.
A pint of bitter, thank you. There is. Somebody said there's a bull on the loose. That could be dangerous, couldn't it?
A double brandy, please, but I think all the storeholders ought to treat everybody else.
A vodka and tonic, please. What would you like?
Whiskey?
I don't know about you, but I don't believe this cock and bull story about a bull. I just wonder if there's something else going on. Because all our things on the store are really vulnerable now with all of us inside the pub.
You know, they don't normally just put you in a pub or say stay in. They said because there's something's going on at the base, I reckon. They've got some intruders.
Because I'm losing trade. And all my stuff is all left outside and somebody could be there pinching it.
Well, maybe it wasn't the best assignment in the world, but a bull being loose around the marketplace was big news, for me anyway. But on arriving, I noticed that the police and army were hanging around outside. I had to talk my way into the pub where everybody had been sent. They informed me that nobody was entering and nobody was leaving, but I told one of the young police officers I'd been with my auntie who'd been ushered into the establishment. He luckily believed me I managed to sneak my cassette recorder under my coat, so I thought I could get a few interviews.
I'm a stallholder in the Carterton market.
And what's happened?
Well, they said there was a bull on the loose, and we had to come and hide in the pub out of the way.
I didn't know we had a Carterton Gazette. My husband was in the Air Force, and we came in 69, 2 years ago. And we've been here. We were going to move, but I stayed put because I had children in a school age, and now we're in here for the rest of our lives, I think. Yes, I've got a picture, a postcard that I picked up in Saskatoon in Canada, and it's of Carterton in 1908. And among other things, it says that they're small houses and they have poultry farms and some fruit and veg. But the interesting part is they sold strawberries in March at 5 shillings a pound. And I take it that went from the railway at Bryce Norton, because there was a railway there. But it's such a coincidence to pick it up.
Well, I came here when I joined the Women's Royal Air Force in 1969. I came to Carterton in 71, and I've been here ever since. And I flew on the aircraft VC-10s for many a year. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've seen lots of changes over the years. In Carterton, it's certainly built up. I'm from Wales originally, and I saw a film on the television of all these WAFs marching, and I thought I'd like to do that. So I went to Cardiff and I joined up, and there I am. After that, I went into nursing when we had a big institution up the road called Bradwell Grove Hospital, and I worked there for many a year. This is where I met my husband, Sydney.
I was nursing in Somerset, and the hospital was closing, and I had to look around. And I saw the advert in the Nursing Times to Bradwell Grove. So I applied, and luckily I got it. The best move I ever made. I come into contact with Christine.
Oh,
and we've been,
thank you, darling.
Been there for ever since.
We have, haven't we?
Well, we moved in 1954, Dad's Elf, from a pub, Elmscote, and we moved to Burford Road, Carterton.
We came over from Lynham with the Britannias, part of the service, but it's within a 50-mile radius of my home, so I never was unhappy about coming here. So I'm from Gloucestershire, so it was always good to be near to home. Well, I came with my husband, obviously, who was in the Royal Air Force, but he did join the Royal Air Force from Carterton. He lived in the Milestone Road.
Well, I was going to ask about the prefabs.
Well, I was too young to know when they went up, but they went up during the war. But I do know that they are still around today, and people living in them, yeah, I do. And I've seen them, and they're very nice. I mean, they were a substitute, because so many people came from the bombed-out areas. I think that's what happened.
Well, why I'm here in Carterton is because we got posted from Singapore to RAF Bryce Norton, and this was our last tour of posting, and we had the choice of being able to choose the nearest one where we wanted to settle down. Because we come from Brighton in Sussex, Bryce Norton is the nearest operational station, so this is why we're at Bryce, and which is sort of just outside Carterton, as everybody knows. And we just loved it so much, we decided to settle here after my husband came out of the services.
Not only did I find out how and why people lived in Carterton, but as lunchtime arrived, memories and reminiscence of favourite food and recipes began to emerge.
We used to have to go to the butcher and buy a pound of lights, and a pound of lights included liver and all the offal you can think of. And it was all put through the mincer with sage and onion and bread at the end to clean the mincer. But then it's made into, and you've got to have something called caul. And the faggots were wrapped in this, and then, yeah, it's a membrane covering, yeah.
think Carterton tomatoes I didn't know any difference, but once you've tasted them, they were definitely a different taste. I think a lot of these houses here now that built there, they were greenhouses and a lot of land, and that was their main produce.
I used to love my school puddings when I was at school. Oh, it was lovely. You had syrup pudding, spotted dick, you had all that. I loved it. And my mum, she used to cook all the suet puddings.
I like spotted dick, but you don't seem to get that these days. I don't know why, because that is another one of my favourites. But Appleton custard is lovely.
Best bread pudding in Carterton, Lady makes.
I put all sorts. I can't say what it is. It depends on what I've got. Bread, of course, and eggs, and the various fruit, sometimes dates, cranberries, sultanas, all that goes in, and spices. Lots of spices.
Oh, I think steamed pudding was one of my favourite.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and rice pudding.
Jam roly-poly and rice pudding.
Oh, yeah.
Aware that we would all be in this situation for some time, I asked all those I was trapped in the public house with about their teens, the music they loved, dances and fashion.
But they couldn't drag me in. I like to watch. I don't like to get out on the floor.
Oh, definitely going out and dancing. I used to love going to the town hall in Manchester, and I used to have one of these dresses that come in your waist and with all the flat things underneath, all the netting underneath.
Either circular skirts or full skirts with like a shirtwaisted dress with a full skirt. The only one I remember well the name of, I had my daughter when 21, and just before I had her, we were at this dance. It was around Christmas. I was expecting her in January, and I was up dancing all night, and then they were going to do this dance which was called Bowling the Jack, where you jump around and that, and the leader of the band, he says, I want everyone up dancing except you go and sit down.
What we did used to do, if you wanted a perm to make yourself look a lot better, they used to take you to a shop, you see, and you had a machine above you. You used to pull these rollers down, and then they used to roll all your hair up, then you used to plug it into these things, and you couldn't move. You had to sit there while you see all this smoke and steam coming out the top. Because I used to wonder when they took the curls out, my hair would drop.
Yeah, church family, and my mum used to make all my clothes for me.
Oh, right.
And I wasn't allowed to go to dances.
Being a child of the war, we had dances everywhere. There were Royal Air Force dances on the camps, all the factory canteens had dances, so you could go dancing every night if you wanted to. My dad worked in a factory where they made brass shell cases for the war effort. But they all had canteens, these factories, and so that was where a lot of the dances were held. But the RAF camp that we went to, there was MU side as well as an RAF side, so that was 2 more dances. There was plenty to do. Lots and lots of entertainment, always.
Dance dress for Saturdays, ordinary dress during the week. But we had a Tuesday dance and a Saturday dance, and sometimes on a Sunday. And you go to the same dance hall, and they ask you to dance, but they never ask you to go out with them. They don't want to. Sometimes they'd be in a hall of church, that sort of thing. And the churches used to have a place for dancing. I used to like the Quickstep, yeah. I like waltzes, and you go. If a boy asks you to dance, it doesn't matter what dance it is, but some are special to special people, and mine was the Quickstep.
The thing, Horrockses. If you had a Horrockses dress, you were it. During the war, I was saying to Joan, I had wooden soled shoes, clogs, and they had a hinge in the middle so that they would, you could sort of bend them. Yeah, red, and all the girls wanted clogs. Where my mother got them from, I don't know. They were British. When I was a teenager, I lived in a place called Down Amney, where they went to Arnhem from there, the planes. And I used to go to a dance at Poulton, which was 2 miles, village hops. And goodness knows what the bands were like, but it was all right because we could dance to them. Not the twist, what was it? Jitterbug had come in because the Americans were over here. So you had the jitterbug, and I was very slim, so they could throw me about a bit.
Well, I can remember my very first dance I went to when I was 14. I was staying with a cousin at Tidworth, and that is an army garrison, because my mum would never let me do these things. And I went to my first dance was with the Ivey Benson Orchestra, which was an all-women's orchestra, all women, and it was the first one. And that was back in 1954. And I can remember I wore a cerise felt skirt, yards and yards, with layers and layers of tulle netting underneath, so it all stood out. Little white ankle socks with lace on, and what we used to call pumps, which were like little black ballerina shoes. And I had long hair there and was in a ponytail. And that was absolutely brilliant. And that was nearly all jiving, that because it was all army personnel. But my mother would have killed me had she known I'd gone there at 14.
I've just been outside to try and find a policeman to report my bag stolen, and I've just heard a tannoy from the van going round from the Air Force that it's not a bull that's on the loose, it's a balloon, a hot air balloon.
Government officials, army and police personnel were driving around making the announcement. Yes, it had been a hot air balloon that had caused the problems.
I think they said it was a balloon and not a bomb, but I didn't hear properly with all the noise around.
I'm pleased it's all over and done with. I can go back to my stall and get all my stuff packed away and go home.
I'm so relieved that it's not actually what we thought it was, and it's just a balloon after all, so we can just all go home.
The original story of a balloon over RAF Bryce Norton had become distorted. It had gone from a bomb being dropped and a cover story of a bull being set loose in the market square.
No, that was a great relief, wasn't it, to know that it wasn't a bull? We could have been in real trouble otherwise.
What a relief. Now I can go and start my holiday.
The added excitement, however, was that actor Michael Crawford had actually been in the balloon at the time it floated down.
Well, I'm pleased to be going home, but just hope that poor old Michael Crawford gets down safe.
The BBC have heard about us all having to be stuck inside the pub, and it turns out that they want to give us all tickets to go and see the show that Michael Crawford was actually filming. So how about that for a result?
On one hand, I was incredibly enthusiastic and excited. I'd really got a good story here. But I felt disheartened. I knew that even if Mr. Winterbourne published my story now, he wouldn't let me take credit for it.
All the news stories and excitement and the serials they run, wonderful, and especially the Agony Aunt solves all my problems.
I suddenly overheard a conversation that gave me an idea. And as I glanced down at my copy, which I'd paid 3 new pence for, I started to smile.
Polly, there you are. Been hanging around out here for ages. They wouldn't let me in. Now, I understand you got me tickets to see Michael Crawford. That's excellent. I'll see if I can get an interview with him. If you write the misunderstanding up with the balloon, bomb and bull...
Well, Mr. Winterbourne...
Then I'll make sure you get a credit for assisting me on the story.
The ticket is in my name and I've already got the story about the people I was with.
No, we don't want any of that. Just write what I tell you and I'll do the interview with Crawford.
Oh dear, Mr. Winterbourne, did you misunderstand? I meant I'm writing an article for the Woman's Weekly. I called them from the payphone in the pub. They've already employed me to interview Michael Crawford for the magazine, and they're interested in the people I've been in the pub with, so I can't stop nattering to you. I mean, it's not like I'm a proper reporter, is it?
Polly? Polly!
Lights Up is an arts-based memory club coordinated by West Oxfordshire District Council.